Hello and welcome to Gilli Pong Analyses Atheism. Here we are creating a series and I am going to hit the next video. There's a Sam Harris interview that broke the internet, and this is a long video from them talking to many different people. So Sam Harris, here are these guys. Not very familiar with their podcast, but I know they're huge online. Seen a few of them. They have good questions and they're very open-minded. Not very close-minded. Not very woke. Whatever that means. Woke. Oh, I get goosebumps when I hear that. Not good goosebumps. Like chills. I got chills, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control, 'cause the power you're supplying is electrifying indeed. Where was I? Yes, let's just go for it. Let's listen to Sam Harris, where he did not even shit his pants. He shat his pants so hard that it started leaking out of his collar and you could see his true self. Have I heard? I didn't watch it at the time, but I heard that there was a lot of bad stuff that was uttered in this interview. But I had a sense when I was listening to earlier videos of him, like he was like hiding something.
Do you really want to live in a country where you have a digital public square, which in my opinion Twitter is? We can disagree about that if you want, but that's my opinion. It's a digital public square, and you have a company that has clearly one-sided enforcement. I hear what you're saying about delegitimizing the electoral process that Trump did,
right.
And I was concerned about that. I think you can't question the system in that way. But when you see that he gets banned and then a story about Hunter Biden gets banned, that under the guise of it being Russian disinformation, we later learn it wasn't Russian disinformation. Right. That to a lot of people seems like, I said it when we were talking to Joe Rogan, it's putting your hand on the scales in favor of one side. In the digital public square, you add that to the banning of Trump and lots of other people being banned from one side predominantly.
Right.
Is that the world you want to live in, where one team gets to just ban people it disagrees with off the platform? It gets to pretend that things that are true are not true. It gets to shut down the sharing of information with people who want to make their own democratic choice?
Well, it's a hard question, and there are pieces of the question that are individually hard.
That was like the longest question I've ever heard anyone ask.
It's like Hunter Biden laptop story is something that I still don't have a full opinion about. I actually don't know what we should have done about that. I mean, so I see the reason. I see both sides of it. I can argue either side of it. So let's leave that piece aside. The bias on the platform. So either Twitter is a company that can do what it wants, right? It can have its own terms of service. It can change its policies. It can change. It can decide to. It can have a point of view or not, right? Or we have to seize it as some kind of, crucial piece of public infrastructure that has to
Do you not think that it is a
terms.
crucial piece of public infrastructure?
I think people who are addicted to Twitter feel it is, right? Most, and I think it's, I don't think it should be. And it's odd to say that it's just so. First of all, it's just. I mean, Facebook is much bigger, right? It's just that we have a lot of smart people, journalists, brands, political people, concentrated on Twitter. So Twitter moves the conversation more than Facebook does, but it's the scale of it is much smaller. I don't know. I just feel like people can start their own companies, which they have, right? They can start competitors to Twitter. There are many people who, Twitter is not, it's still a failing business, right? It's like, it's not, It doesn't work really. I mean, Facebook is a much better business. There's nothing.
Okay, just to give my 2 cents on this. The radio, for instance. You can use technology for good or for bad, or you can keep it neutral. News used to be like this. You could hear both sides of the argument when you were hearing something complicated. But over the years, it's been changed into this one-sided thing. The government says something, and then the news are just broadcasting it, pushing it further. Propaganda has become the norm somehow. Twitter, Facebook. I used Twitter a little bit, but I got out of Facebook in 2019. Took me 30 days. And I had connected Facebook to log in to other sites. It had become like a thing that was very hard to get rid of. It was sticking to my persona, my mask somehow. And LinkedIn is one of them. I had a LinkedIn profile and I had 1,000 connections or something like that. And I was very connected to my job resume. I posted an interview with Kari Mullis, like a pure interview. Kari Mullis, the guy who invented the PCR, the polymerase cycle replication or something like that, which all the jabby things are based on to test, the tests for the jabby thing, the certificate of vaccination ID, propaganda disease that happened everywhere. And this rabbit hole goes pretty deep, because like Kari Mullis was very against this weirdo from America. I don't know if I can say his name anymore. Fauci, just say it. And they had been in a war for like decades before, because he had been using, the second one had been using Kari Mullis's invention to search for HIV. And Kari had been very hardcore against using his invention to test stuff like this. And I didn't really know, but Mr.
Bill Gates is one of the owners of LinkedIn, so it was probably against his agenda
that I was promoting this to my 1,000 connections. And I was just banned. You're banned for posting an interview that had been broadcasted on TV in the 90s or early 2000s. This is the thing that they're discussing. Should a website, like a radio, be completely blocking people from talking about things? And there are a lot of bullshit going on. And I understand that, there are some evil people out there doing bad things online. But there's a difference between politics and ugly things that are going on, You can watch whatever satisfies your lust online, and Twitter was allowing that. You could just see whomever you wanted naked or whatever, while this thing was not allowed to be talked about. And the radio it can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
Stopping Facebook from becoming stickier for intellectuals and journalists and attracting more of the conversation over there. I don't know. It's an extreme move to say you can't be biased, right? Like who's going to say that? But behind the saying of that is a law in the end, and therefore it's a gun. Therefore it's jail time for the person who wants to keep breaking the law.
It's a gun. It's quite the drastic analogy there, Mr. Harris. Twitter, Facebook is a gun. I don't buy that.
Right. So like, just imagine if the Twitter board is like everyone gets what they want. Everyone who's of this opinion gets what they want. You just we're gonna come in and enforce something like a zero bias state in Twitter, insofar as that's possible. And if the employees and the board just say, sorry, we have a point of view. We don't like these people and we like these people. What? So now you just break up the company? You just say, I mean, I thought what I thought it should have happened with Twitter is I thought Jack Dorsey should have deleted it. I mean, I literally thought he would have got the Nobel Peace Prize had he just at a certain point deleted it, right?
Jack Dorsey. Oh, that's a weirdo. I don't want to go for ad hominem attacks, but he was allowing some nasty stuff to go on Twitter while he was very, very leftist in his bias towards whomever was speaking on his application. And when the caca hit the fan, he ran away. And he was in front of like judges and in a board that was analyzing what was going on. And it was politically left.
Yeah, I don't. So in any case, should they be forced to be impartial? I'm very skeptical of that. Should they be cajoled by unhappy people like yourselves or like the Trump fans to
I'm
behave
just putting
better?
a counter argument here,
Yeah,
Sam.
I mean, I think so. Yeah, yes, I think.
Wasn't Sam Harris like this very anti-Trump guy? One of those guys. That's one of the things that was very interesting about America. Suddenly all the media was just against this guy's persona. And nothing has stuck to him. That's very weird. Talking about ad hominem attacks. That's a fallacy, by the way. You go for someone's character. And I've been doing that. And one of the first videos I made was like I was attacking the guy's hair. But I felt like I could do that in light of the fact that the guy was saying that there's no free will. But when it comes to this Trump guy, you can so easily attack this guy's character. But his policies brought about difference that was very profitable for America for the first time. But America is deep in debt, and I'm getting out of my element here. I thought it was going to be a little bit more theistic or atheistic in his thing, but let's continue.
If they were going to be, the first thing to admit is it may be impossible to do this impeccably, right? It's like until we have, perfect artificial intelligence, it's just going to be impossible to be truly consistent with your terms of service.
This is what I see, and he has the same scientific mindset. Until we have the perfect AI, the hypothetical tools, conceptual tools that are hypothetical in our mind that we can probably get in the future, based on the Blade Runner movie I watched in the 80s. It's like, come on.
Because you're always going to be able to find the example of the thing that was not appropriately moderated.
Yes, but if we all know that if that laptop was Donald Trump's Jr.,
oh yeah,
this would be
100%.
treated. That's all I'm asking.
Oh
you
yeah.
about,
Well,
right?
so let's take that piece.
Okay, I think he's going for this chat moment. Before we go there, Chat GPT, for instance, this hyped up open AI, from my technical understanding, it is very biased, and the basis of what they made the artificial intelligence read was the same publications or news sites that are called the mainstream media, and they all were dancing to the tune of Trump hate and other things. So if you're a wise person and you can understand that there are forces behind these news organizations that are trying to dictate what is allowed to be spoken of and not. And I don't want to really go into current affairs because that gets very dated, but I don't think this concept or this moment in time that we're speaking of right now can be easily seen as when propaganda becomes the mainstream. And the propaganda is coming from the elites. The elite, rich people want you to believe a certain kinds of history, hate the certain kinds of people, and this Sam Harris person seems to be part of that elite class. And Trump is even part of that elite class, even though he comes off as he is not. So if you rise your intelligence to a higher perspective and you start seeing it from there, you can see that the forces, for instance, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, whatever they're called, these companies that own every other company or the major part of every company in the world, that are pushing this exclusive, what is it called, ESG score, sustainability, equality, inclusion. These forces are giving corporations money to speak a certain kind of truth, and it's causing division in the grassroots of human society. And I feel like Twitter is a place where you can hate, be angry at, fight. It's like the UFC of social media. Everybody's fighting each other instead of helping. And there is a way to use the radio in a good way and a way to use the radio in a bad way. And currently we live in a society where the hypothetical radio, I'm using radio in this case because you can spread good things through the radio and you can spread bad things through the radio, and the neutral thing through the radio. And we're currently in a very strange place. But let's go on. What does he have to say about this laptop?
I think it was totally appropriate to view Trump to be existing in a domain that was orthogonal to partisan politics. My criticism of Trump is totally nonpartisan, right? There's literally nothing I say about Trump that I could say about any other Republican, right? And I think Liz Cheney is a total hero, right? And I don't agree with her politics at all, right? Like Liz Cheney is a religious maniac by my lights, right? And in that sense, kind of a terrifying political figure, like the.
So Liz Cheney is his hero because his view of Donald Trump is non-partisan. What does that leave? Is that just ad hominem? He doesn't like his character, doesn't like him personally. It's not about the politics. But Liz Cheney is his hero, yet he views her as a terrifying, what does he say, terrifying political figure. He's already contradicting himself in the same sentence, so it's obvious that you can see that he's going into a field where he has feelings about it, not reason. So we're going into a chaotic space in Sam Harris right now.
The old me who was just worried about Christian theocracy in the United States would have just revolted at everything she would attempt to implement as a politician. But at this moment, she has no bigger fan than me because of how she's dealing with the Trump phenomenon. The Trump phenomenon is not a matter of political partisanship.
So essentially his old self is against the theocracy. So I've been talking about Sam Harris as the old Sam Harris. And this new Sam Harris, he puts theocracy on a lower scale or a lower priority level than his admiration for Liz Cheney because she hates Trump. So the enemy of Sam Harris' enemy is his friend. Okay.
He is just a sui generis phenomenon, and it's
sui generis.
Again, it's analogous to having elected Alex Jones president of the United States. It's not a matter of his I probably agree with half of his policies or more than half of his policies. It's not a matter of policy. It's a matter of having someone who.
One of the things that I've noticed in technology It's like the more buzzwords you see implanted in a presentation or something, the less you can trust the actual technology. And here, I feel like I can hardly trust his reasoning because he's using buzzwords. He knows that the majority of the people watching this it's gonna impact them, and then he uses these big words to obfuscate another big word to diffuse the point he's trying to make, or diffuse the coherence in his speech somehow. It's weird.
Who's totally unfit to have power.
Buzzwords. I was saying buzzwords, sorry. I lost my train of thought. Alex Jones, for instance, is a buzzword. AJ. You can't say Alex Jones on YouTube, I think. But let's check. Alex Jones, Alex Jones, Alex Jones. Maybe this will be banned. Let's see. But AJ. They even make the frog, this character, very interesting. Planted sheep, clothes on a wolf, probably very close to Mr. Brand that has been banned. It's very interesting. Using buzzwords to capture people's attention, making AJ president would be equal to put Trump as president.
It's not a matter of his, I probably agree with half of his policies, or more than half of his policies. It's not a matter of policy. It's a matter of having someone who's totally unfit to have power be given more power than any person in a generation. And he's unfit in every possible way. It's like,
though he doesn't disagree with his policies, yet he's unfit. But wasn't his policies pretty good for America? Wasn't like petrol and gasoline and diesel, wasn't that very low? He stopped funding the World Health Organization. He stopped believing this global warming propaganda. But he implemented the warp speed, creating this jabby thing that everybody's taking. Human experimentation. So that's why I'm not very fond of this orange man. But he's very inconsistent in his speech.
Like it's not that he's just got a few screws loose. Like every screw is loose. Every screw that you would want totally cranked down is loose or non-existent in him. And so,
is he speaking of Trump or himself? It's a good question.
Yeah. So that's my argument. So my argument is that it was appropriate for Twitter and the heads of big tech and the heads of journalistic organizations to feel that they were in the presence of something like a once-in-a-lifetime moral emergency, right? Whereas this is not the same thing as not liking George Bush, or not liking John McCain, or not liking Mitt Romney for their politics. This was, here's a guy who is capable of anything, right? He's not ideological, but he's a black hole of selfishness, right? He's just, and so there's no telling what he's going to.
Sometimes people see themselves in others, and that is what they most despise. And I feel this speech that he's having right now is very telling of his own character.
To do. And we cannot afford to have 4 more years with this guy, right? And so, so what should well-intentioned people do who have a lot of power in these various ways? You're running the New York Times, you're running CNN, you're running Twitter.
He speaks of 3 things, and they're all hardcore leftist propaganda machines. At that time, this is Twitter pre the other wolf in sheep's clothing, Mr. BlackRock, Musk, Neo.
What should they conspire to do?
Admit that it's their fault. Admit that Trump is their fault. And look,
this is a man that uses conspiracy theories a lot. But now he's using conspire. What should CNN, New York Times, and Twitter conspire to do?
I'm someone from the left.
Absolutely.
Sam.
That's well, no, that. What was
Admit that Trump is their fault. And look, I'm someone from the left.
Absolutely.
Sam.
That's the perverse thing. It's totally their fault. CNN gave us Trump. Right?
Yeah.
Well, no. Before CNN gave us Trump, Mark Burnett gave us Trump. I mean, if there's one person who could have not done what he did and could have closed the door to this whole phenomenon, it was Mark Burnett.
No idea who that is.
But yeah, no, so by giving him the attention, but he was great ratings, for a year, for the whole run up to the 2016 election.
What I noticed during that time was the ones that I had been following, Colbert, Stephen Colbert, I think he's called, this Stewart guy that Colbert was in, they were very funny. And then these talk show hosts started to pop up, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. And suddenly everyone was making fun of Trump. And every woke comedian was making fun of the same thing. And it wasn't funny, because Trump is just funny on his own, It's like a parody of a parody. It's the paradox that we have talked about earlier. But yeah. I noticed this in 2016, that they generated and created this villain that people weren't agreeing with and therefore started voting for, because he was causing this reaction in the media that they didn't agree with, because they were going for ad hominem attacks instead of attacking policies. Like, one of the hardest things to comprehend was this wall, create a wall on the border. And that's exactly opposite to what was being pushed for during these decades before, this massive immigration that is happening right now. Like Ukraine, a lot of people are coming from there because their cities have been completely bombed. And then there was Libya, there was Syria, there was African people. They were all coming over the borders and they were moving into Europe. And now you have all these protests regarding Gaza, and because all the Muslims are there. I remember I was in Iceland and I was a pretty wet behind the ears kind of guy watching Eurovision, or what they call in Norway Euro Grand Prix or something like that. Song Grand Prix, or it's like this singing contest. And we started noticing very early on that there were a lot of Turkish people in Germany that voted. So the Germans didn't vote for Iceland because Iceland was always trying to win, but Turkey got a lot of votes from them. So we always ended up very low because the immigration had already started decades ago. And then Trump comes in with his close the border thing, and that's exactly against this huge financed agenda that is going on. Globalization, whatever that is.
Oh yeah, no one has clean hands here. But at the 11th hour, when who knows how this election is going to go, who knows what the capacity for disinformation.
It's kind of funny because he says this, no one has clean hands. Look at the hands of, what's this guy name? TRIGGERnometry number 2 on the right.
At the 11th hour,
very clean hands.
No one has clean hands here. But at the 11th hour, when who knows how this election is going to go, who knows what the capacity for disinformation at the last minute to tip the balance is.
Disinformation.
Then what do you do with the Hunter Biden laptop story when we already know, we know how this played out in 2016 with the Hillary Clinton email press conference where Comey, in an abundance of scrupulosity, felt like he had to come before the cameras, I think 10 days out from the election, and say, we're going to open up this investigation again because we've got Anthony Weiner's laptop. we could see, I mean, again, her failure to become president was overdetermined. She was an appallingly bad candidate. But in terms of just tracking the poll numbers, you could, like, that was the killing blow to her candidacy, right? That final moment. And this was a highly analogous situation. This was, we're going to open up this laptop from hell, and the news cycle for who knows how long is going to be just conceivably just a nuclear bomb of an October surprise, and we're going to get 4 more years of Trump if we actually give this a fair hearing.
But Sam,
But you can't do that, Sam. Surely you've got to realise that you've got to be fair. And the thing that I want to
we're all equal before the law.
Yeah, and
aren't we?
And the other
This isn't the law. But
I
again,
know
this
it's
isn't
not the law, but
Yeah.
if you accept my supposition that this is the public square, then it is the law. It is, if it is the public square, then it is law. Now, you're arguing it's not the public square, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine.
Yeah,
Look,
no.
why don't we move on? Because I think we've done enough on Trump.
Yeah,
He's
of
sucked
course.
up a lot of it.
He's got a habit of doing that.
No, but I'll just say, just finally, I do, again, it's like a coin toss for me, the Hunter Biden laptop thing, because I do understand how corrosive it is for an institution like the New York Times to show obvious bias and inconsistency and dishonesty in how it's like they couldn't even frame it honestly. It's not like, it's like the way I would frame it is, listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's life. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like...
That is probably the worst argument I've ever heard a human being utter. He just exposed exactly his soul there. Hunter Biden could literally have corpses of children in his basement, and he wouldn't have cared. This is the investigator talking to the serial killer, realizing they found him, they got him. And this is the scariest part about the atheistic mindset. They don't even realize what they're saying when they speak like this. But it's all a play, you know. The elites want you to focus on these little puppets while they control you from behind. This ends my journey of investigating or analyzing Sam Harris, I can tell you. Nothing can make sense. It's like when you're caught in one lie, nothing makes sense what you say after that. You know, according to if you're a jury and you're a lawyer and you're trying to scrutinize a witness and you realize that they lied about something, then that minor thing is going to cause all the other things that they are supposing is true a lie too. So yeah, it's very dark. We went to a dark place in this video. But thank you so much for joining me. It's been a long day. Getting a bit tired, I think. But I hope you enjoyed it. Plant a comment, like and subscribe. Gilli Pong out. No, that's not a very good tagline. Have the most beautiful present moment. Ha,